Hey everybody, today we are going to look at scaling. How do you scale your operations from a startup to multi-state operator? I've had clients that have done this exact thing, and it's usually slower than you think. People always think like, oh, I launched a dispensary and next year I'm going to add three more in three states. Oftentimes it's slower. So one of my first clients, I'll call him Joe here in Bend, Oregon, he started with one dispensary. And slowly over the next 4, 5, 6 years, he added four more dispensaries in this town. Then he bought a farm. Then he expanded into another state. And so, 10 buys is seems like a long time, but it also goes by quicker than you think. And the next thing you look, you can have really built out quicker than you think. Now, I always say, you don't want to scale something that's not working. So you want to, you want to make sure that your operating systems, your financial systems, everything is set up to support growth. So, unfortunately, many cannabis operations don't think about a world-class CFO on day one. And so they just think about operations. Oh, I got to open my dispensary. What products am I going to buy? Where's my shop going to be? How do I comply with things? Who am I going to hire? And they just think accounting and tax and internal controls and governance and software and all those things, back office, are just a headache to deal with later. So when I counsel startups, and again, before you talk about scaling, you've got to talk about a startup. Let's do things correctly. Let's raise money the correct way. Let's make sure we've got a model that's actually accurate and not too optimistic. So we have good investors, maybe lenders. We get the thing started up correctly, and we have a world-class finance CFO on board from day one, so we can make sure we're thinking about from day one internal controls, governance, perpetual data rooms, where we can make sure things are organized and updated every month. We like to build out a permanent audit trail as well, so that the company is always ready for expansion, for one, because when expansion usually is going to take capital, and capital is going to need diligence. Diligence is going to need accurate records, books, financials, all that stuff, controls, governance. So we want to be ready every single month. So hopefully that's from day one. Now, say you have a couple dispensaries and you want to add a farm and you want to grow and you don't have any of that stuff. That would be, to me, step one. Let's get our house in order. And again, if this is you out there, you're a CEO, Mr. or Mrs., and you don't have this stuff in place, you can reach out to me or people, in our network, and start there. Get your current house in order. Make sure, are you doing things correctly? Hopefully you haven't done an incorrect tax strategy to beat 280 or whatever. Sometimes we have to unwind things and clean up and maybe even pay more money to get things where they're in a good foundation, because then let's look at that. But these things interact too. So same with having a financial control or a world-class financial organization that overlaps into operations. Perfect example, inventory. So you need to manage inventory extremely well in a dispensary for certain before you scale. You need to know exactly what you're doing. And so before you can even look at reporting to know what's going on now, you need to have a world-class financial function. Because if you're just printing reports and they're wrong, and again, inventory is a great example. I've proven this many times over. I'll go in a dispensary and the client will say, oh yeah, we're using metric, and our POS is on, Blaze, and we've got our accounting system is zero, and everything's just hunky dory. And I'm like, great, let's walk over here. I see Gorilla Glue pre-rolls, and I count 12 of them. Let's go look at metric. What does it say? And we go look at metric. It says we have 11 of them. And then we go look at Blaze, the POS, and it says we have 14 of them. And then I look in the accounting system and I get yet another number. And so you can run a business with bad reporting and bad accounting, but that's very hard because you're making decisions based on information that's wrong. Or what if your sales data, you thought you sold 20 boxes of this product, but it was actually a mistypo. You sold a different product. So financial and operations will definitely overlap. We will have our input. And I tell people, again, I get it. You want world-class reporting to make decisions, but that's built atop what I call a rock-solid accounting and tax foundation, which we usually do not find at clients. We find literally the opposite. We find a mess. And again, it's more than accounting. Usually, the organization documents are out of whack. Maybe leases or insurance policies are missing. We find things that are not doing great. So that's where we go first and foremost. Then as we grow, and I know I'm looking at one bullet point here, says key milestones that require financial upgrades. I'm going to really look from start to finish. I want to have a world-class financial organization on day one, and I want it to be world-class if I acquire 10 dispensaries and go to a $100 million company. I want to make sure that that's crucial. And so I'm going to need, first and foremost, that world-class CFO that actually has systems and tools built out. I don't know of any other place other than Dope CFO that is actually built out. We have over 160 tools and systems in our program that is built out so people can scale and not have to reinvent the wheel as well. Now you also we will often find this next one, strategies for maintaining compliance. So again, when I find a small cannabis company, I could just say, hey, who does compliance here? I actually asked that question at High Five Farms, one of my very first clients. And they're all looking around like, someone was, I think Lee does that. I think Carrie does it. It was like, actually, nobody's doing it. And by compliance, I mean, first and foremost, state compliance with the actual license. There's a lot of rules. The state of Oregon has an 80-page rule book. Are you complying with all these rules? And are we monitoring this every month? What about OSHA? What about the FDA? And what about the EPA? And what we're putting on our crops? There's lots of compliance. Again, that's part of having a world-class accounting, financial, and operational organization. So if a client, now that's something in our program, a Dope CFO certified advisor, for example, would welcome that. Say, hey, we will take care of, yes, accounting and tax and payroll, but we'll also deal with HR, compliance, software, all those other things as well. But there's obviously going to be a fee because it needs to be done well. If you're not doing any one of these things well and you go to scale or you try to bring in a new partner or even exit or acquire, when due diligence teams show up and they don't find these things, to them, that's a red flag. Not only a red flag, it indicates a hidden liability that you may say, hey, we don't have any liabilities. Oh, yeah, you do. You got $500,000 OSHA liability sitting there because you're out of compliance. And so, again, we want to make sure that we're doing all these things. Somebody's monitoring it and overseeing it. Usually that's an easy box to, if I just don't think about OSHA out here on the farm, it doesn't apply to me. And by the way, this is several years back, a farm in Oregon, I believe it was $600,000 penalty from OSHA. And I think it actually put them under. So common mistakes as you scale, again, is having your house out of order before you scale. And we have many huge companies that are just, to me, it's entertaining almost, that scale the wrong way, like MedMen. And MedMen Part 2, that all these companies that go under and investors that funnel tons of money to these companies that don't have any of the things I'm talking about. Look at, say, TrueLeave. They've scaled. Their financial house has been a wreck from day one. I think in the last 6 years, they've been through, 8 or 9 CFOs, including one that stole from them. And so you look at these big companies making, and by the way, you don't have to look far for the big companies doing idiotic things because you just go read the news on MJ Biz Daily or Entrepreneur. These stories are constant fraud and theft and, employee lawsuits and all kinds of things, just mismanagement. It's easy to find as well. So don't let that be you. Take your time, do it the right way. If you have questions or that's you want to scale or you're on the accounting side and you want to learn how to help a company scale, just message me and we can talk more. But glad you all joined us today and we'll see you next week.